in the
What is
store
it?
near
Just like
you.
stats and stuff?
No, it's audio bites pulled from press conferences and stuff.
Get in the game on the Rob Brown Show.
Only
Not
on
sure what this
the
is.
Fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Welcome in. Rob, T2, sitting behind the board. Texas says, Rob, Clemson doesn't do anything at an elite level. I don't disagree with you, right? If I ask Clemson fans to tell me what makes this team elite, like what aspect of your game is elite, I don't think there is an answer. But if you can do everything pretty good, you got a chance, right? Like there are some teams that excel because they have an excellent offense. There are some teams that excel because they have an excellent defense. Some teams that excel because they have excellent special teams and they can control the field of play by tactically deploying their special teams in the right places at the right times. And then there are some teams that are really good at everything. Maybe not exceptional, maybe not elite at any one thing or two things, but they're just really, really good at a lot of different things, right? That might be the case here. Clemson's a team that can do a lot of things really, really well. The question mark is going to be which one of those things is going to show up on any given day to pull the team forward, right? And I know that you're tired of hearing about it, Clemson fans. But I go back and I look at that Syracuse game, which is in the repertoire, right? That's part of it. Let's call it what it is here. You botched that game. But what was it? What was it? 5 turnovers in that game? 4 turnovers in that game? Top of my head. It was not an excellent look. It just was not an excellent look. So, in looking at that, and in trying to figure out like what is the real Clemson team, I don't think it's unfair to kind of pull that game into perspective, pull that game, reflect on that game, and ask, would that Clemson team be able to hang with a Georgia? Because while Clemson does not do any one thing especially well, and while I don't think there is a unit on that Clemson Tiger team that is elite, they're pretty good at everything when they're on, right? Defensively, they are above average and have had some really good days, like against Miami this past weekend. Offensively, I'd say they're pretty average. They have a couple of really good days, like Miami this weekend. The good news is that Clemson's hitting on every cylinder at the end of the year, which is, I mean, if we're being honest, the most important time to do it, yeah? I would make the argument that Georgia has an elite defense. I would make the argument that Georgia has an elite offense. It runs through a tight end, but that's only a fair criticism if it doesn't work. Running that offense through and around Brock Bowers works. But Rob, they only put up 16 against Kentucky. I am aware, but keep in mind, one of the benefits of making it to this stage in the season, one of the benefits to having already put away your Power 5 division, one of the benefits of being where Clemson is right now is the fact that they don't need style points anymore, right? They don't need style points. They have already gotten themselves into a position where they can just go out and get dubs. Just go collect dubs, and you're going to be very, very fine. You're going to be fine, man. You're going to be in a very, very good spot. I don't necessarily know. I mean, they can. I don't know that Georgia is going to wreck Georgia Tech quite the way that a lot of people think they will, right? I'm going to find the line on that game real quick. Somebody give me a line on that game. What's your thought? What are we looking at? 27? 28? Top of my head? I don't know that I'm not, but I'm sorry. I was close. Minus 35.5. So they got to win by 36 or better. I don't know that I don't put a couple of coins on Georgia Tech plus 35.5, right? Now, in fairness, Georgia Tech's playing their third string quarterback now due to injuries to 1 and 2. But keep in mind that they did beat North Carolina this weekend, did the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech, right? A North Carolina team that is an ACC divisional winner, and a North Carolina team that does have a potential Heisman dark horse at quarterback. They beat that North Carolina team. Georgia, at this point, has one objective this weekend. Yeah, you want to win your rivalry game. But Georgia has one objective this weekend. Be healthy next Saturday in the ATL when you get it lined up against the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Be healthy for the LSU game. That's it. That's the objective. That's the goal. That's the only goal, to be honest with you. Just be healthy for the LSU game. Put yourself in the best chance to win the SEC championship, to make sure you get that 1 seed, that you're playing in the bowl game closest to home. I think no matter who slides into that 4 spot, with all due respect to Texas Christian University, that whoever slides into that number 4 spot will be a step down from 1, 2, and 3. Whether it is TCU, whether it is USC. If Georgia loses to LSU to put LSU in, then Georgia will not be number 1, though LSU will likely be number 4. And maybe Georgia's 4, LSU's 3. We'll see. The point is that don't look at what Georgia does against Georgia Tech this weekend. If it ends up being they only win by 14, don't look at that and go, well, Georgia's not elite either, right? Why would Clemson get left in the dark if Georgia only beats Georgia Tech 27-10, 35-21, 35-17, something like that, when they're 35.5-point favorites? The answer is because Georgia bought themselves an opportunity to ease the pressure up at the end of the season. They bought themselves an opportunity where they don't have to go out in rivalry game weekend and try to be flashy. Clemson does. Clemson's got to go be flashy. Clemson needs to cover the spread and then a little bit more against the mighty, mighty Gamecocks of South Carolina. 14-point favorites. You need to cover that spread, and you need to cover that spread impressively if you want to crack at it. Because now you got to jump Bama again. Now you got to jump SC. Hell, now you got to jump a 2-loss LSU team. Now, that one you'll get some help in because LSU is going to catch Georgia next week, so it won't be all that easy. But it just kind of is what it is, right? So I've heard that a lot since yesterday. I heard, who was it, Herb Street or somebody earlier in the week say, Clemson doesn't have a real unit that is elite, that is top tier. And my reaction would be, right, but they're good enough at they're good enough at every spot, right? When they're on their game, when they're on the game. So they don't have an elite unit is not necessarily a reason to keep a team out. I would say it is a reason that if USC drops their matchup this weekend against Notre Dame or drops the Pac-12 championship next weekend and LSU gets rocked by Georgia and TCU, they won't, but TCU loses the Big 12. And somehow, amidst all the chaos, Clemson University slips into the Final Four. You're going in as a dog, man. You're going in as a dog. Because of the teams in the top, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan. They may not be elite in all three aspects of the game. Georgia is. That's why Georgia's going to be a hefty favorite going into the playoffs to go back-to-back. Ohio State has a very, very good offense, an above-average adequate defense, and decent special teams. Michigan has an elite-level offense, an adequate defense, and pretty good special teams. Clemson is good enough to get in. I do not believe that they are good enough to knock off one of the top three teams. Your national champion is going to be Ohio State, Michigan, or Georgia. Whoever wins this weekend, and then them versus Georgia. That's it. That's the list. All right. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, let's take a look at some more good stuff. We have got to get into the breakdown of USC versus Clemson coming up this weekend. I'm not saying it's the biggest game in rivalry history. It's not. I would say it's the most anticipated game in this rivalry since I got here coming up on 3 years ago. Clemson has got an opportunity to own the longest winning streak in rivalry history. South Carolina last week put some folks on notice. There's some explosive under the Gamecock helmets. The question mark will be, can and will they bring it up and bring it out on Saturday night? Let's break that down here in just a few minutes from right now. My name is Rob Brown. T2, the Terminator, Tim Snow, sitting on the other side of the glass, metaphorically speaking. 74 minutes played. Germany holds a 1-0 advantage over Japan in the World Cup. Japan has had multiple opportunities, including one a second ago, that admitted non-soccer head T2 almost came up out of his chair for. Just got to get the hooks in, Tim.
Yeah.
Got to get the hooks in. Once I get the hooks in you,
I'm almost a soccer fan right now, dude.
Once I get the hooks in you, it's over.
That was so close.
Another one. Another one. They got it. Golazo! Call it 1-1. Japan sneaks one in, 74 and some change played, and we're square at 1-1. What a match. This might be match of the tournament so far, to be honest. It's exceptional.
It's an exciting match.
It is exceptional. All right. When we come back here in just a minute, we'll get into college football. Next hour of the show, Team USA v Team England. Friday. Tell you what, it is the biggest opportunity that U.S. soccer has had in a very long time. All that more coming up on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. What a goal. Good effort. Get there, clean it up. That's why you always chase the rebound, kids. Always chase the rebound. Always chase the rebound. All right, guys, we will be back momentarily.
College football this
Look at my new away screen I made last night. Yeah, I made a bunch of new ones.
The Wolfpack 7-4, 3-4 in the conference. It's the final regular season test before December 3rd when the Tar Heels battle Clemson for the ACC championship.
What do you use to make it?
Canva?
That's what I've been using.
Canva's great, man.
I love Canva.
Canva's great.
Will be the Carolina Panthers' third different starter in as many weeks.
That
when
makes
they
Charlie a
took
whole new
Broncos in Charlotte
backdrop
Sunday.
and
This comes a week after Baker Mayfield was picked off twice and failed to get the 3-8 Panthers into the end zone in a loss against the Ravens. It'll be Darnold's first start in the regular season game since his January 9th loss to Tampa Bay to
Talk
end
to corporate
2021
about getting
season.
us,
Mayfield will be the backup.
access
KJ
to
Walker
Canva.
won't be ready to return Sunday. He's gonna
Courtney has it because of her job,
Yeah,
her
so does
marketing
my
job.
wife. I've been using her account too.
And listen anywhere on your phone.
I'm my own folder.
That's your sports flash
So
on
do I.
Upstate.
From the Ingles Market Studio.
That is awesome.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM.
It's great for like streamers and stuff. When I say it's like a professional video editing thing, no, but it's great for.
It's good enough for stuff like this.
Yeah.
You know?
Televising college basketball games, bringing the fan fest to semi-pro soccer, or taking you out to the ball game at your minor league party. We're here for the fans. No one gets the dedication of the home team like you guys, and we've got all the sports you can handle. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Hey, it's Rob Brown. Listen, you and I both know that joint pain can sometimes keep you from doing things you love. I love to go shoot hoops with the boys, but sometimes the knee and lower back are like, no, not today. Well, if that's the problem for you, you need
Yeah, I
to call
can't do that
UC
anymore.
Kinetics and let them show you how their advanced regenerative medicine.
All right, kids, we are back. Sorry about the mic issues a minute ago. I had the wrong input selected. No, my mic was cutting it out because I had yours off on StreamYard and mine on, and all the channels run through you.
It's all T2's fault.
No, it's not. I run the stream.
Nah, it was my fault.
Executive
kinda.
stream producer Rob Brown.
Executive stream producer. What, dude? That should be a job title around here.
It is for me.
Executive stream producer.
Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
Michael says, like the hoodie, Rob. So do I, Mike. So do I. If you're not watching the live stream, you're making a mistake. You might as well join us in there. We have some fun with it. You can do so by going to the Fan Upstate's Facebook page or Twitter. You can also search The Rob Brown Show on YouTube or on Twitch if you'd like to go about it in that direction. Rocking the Furman University hoodie today. Emphasis on the F and the U. When we get off the air today,
Furman had a great weekend.
Furman had a great weekend.
Great
Into the
weekend.
Playoffs, taking on Elon round 1 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Soon as the show is over today, I will be cutting the Wednesday edition of the Views from Mid Street podcast with the great one, Lonzo. And then I will be getting on the road down to Florida. Go spend some time with La Familia over the holidays. And I decided that nothing's going to be better. And the surprise is kind of ruined now because the Madre watches the stream. But I decided nothing was going to be better than rolling up into the Madre's neighborhood with the FU hoodie on today. Felt like that was appropriate. Felt like that was she's going to open the door and be like, God, I'm so proud of you, son.
My mom would laugh.
She'll get over it. She'll eventually find it funny. It's just going to take some time. Me rolling up with her like very nice, very elderly, very kind neighbors next door. She's going to be outside. Hey, F you one time.
Yeah.
They'll get used to it though. It's fine.
They'll be all right. They'll be all right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. 844 fan phone, 844-326-3663, 844 fan phone. Let me try this one, T2. Go! Damn, I'm pretty good at that. Japan has netted the go-ahead goal in the 83rd minute. The Japanese stick another one into the back of the net. And the powerhouse that is Germany finds themselves on the back foot in a hole down 2-1 with less than 7 regular minutes to play.
Yep, they're the underdog now.
My goodness. This
By
World
one.
Cup, this World Cup has been wild, my dudes. Argentina, a hefty betting favorite, drops a 2-1 decision yesterday at the feet of Saudi Arabia. And I think they were plus 18,000 on the money line to win that game yesterday. Unreal. And now the betting dogs in Japan hit an absolute killer. Watch this, Tim Snow.
I'm
Gets
watching.
him on the back, gets the goalie out, and then straight up into the top of the net.
Yep, they didn't even see that coming.
Do you know how ridiculously difficult of a shot that is? From next to the post to send it on a straight up angle into the roof of the goal.
Just past the goalie.
That's exceptional.
Just past the goalie, too.
That is exceptional form. The Japanese got the Germans pushing forward, caught them on the counter, lifted a send forward with perfect weight ahead of number 18, who gets the defender in his back pocket, who gets the goalkeeper coming out on his line, and then just pitching wedge chip shots in straight up into the air, straight up into the top of the net. That was phenomenally well done from the Japanese.
Yeah, and their goalie is putting in work, too. Like their goalie,
he has been pressed hard today.
Yeah, he almost got kicked in the face
Yeah.
at one point.
He has been pressed hard.
And he was going to take it. He was going to take it.
Hey man, it's the World Cup.
That's right, man.
You win this, you'll have enough money to get yourself a new nose
Well,
later down the line.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it's about that for them. I think they just, they're
right,
putting
man.
blood, sweat, and
That's right.
tears.
That's right.
You know?
86 minutes played. The Germans have a corner kick that gets steered away by the Japanese, and they now find themselves. Now, there's been a lot of stoppage time in this World Cup. The officials have been very liberal with the stoppage times so far. 9 minutes in that U.S. versus Wales game. So I would expect we're probably, I'm going to guess 7 minutes of stoppage in this one. Probably looking at 7 minutes. Hasn't really been a ton of stoppage in this one so far, as Götze and the Germans are turned away once again by the Japanese. It is desperation mode now for Deutschland, as they are just sending everybody forward. They do not want to walk out of here with less than a point.
Yeah,
And
they're
a
press.
draw would be very difficult to accomplish for the Germans right now.
Yeah, it almost seems desperate. They're pressing pretty hard now.
Does a match like this, T2, does it increase the chances that if I was to tell you there's another game coming up this afternoon that I think has every bit the opportunity to be just as entertaining? If I was to tell you that Belgium-Canada at 2:00 this afternoon, I think it's got the potential to be a very good match. Does a game like this, does a match like this make you more likely to tune into the World Cup later on in the day?
Yes. You
I
just
like
tell me what channel it's on,
I like it.
because I'll still be here.
I like it. The Germans flip another one into the box, and Japan once again gets up high on the header. Germany's working with about an average of 4 inches of height differential over the Japanese, and the Japanese are so damn aggressive right now. The Germans just can't capitalize on that. It's beautiful. Spain and Costa Rica today at 11. I don't think, unfortunately for the Costa Ricans, that one is going to be too much of a match.
We scored
get
again?
another one?
I think
Japan get another
so.
one?
I think so. Or was that a replay? I can't tell.
That's a replay.
Oh, it was a replay?
Yeah.
Oh.
You got me hyped for a second. I'm like, I looked away for a minute.
Well, see, I looked away too and didn't realize it was a replay.
Yeah. So 2-1 still to the Japanese, 87:38 showing on the clock. Spain and Costa Rica today at 11 a.m. and then Belgium and Canada at 2:00. That one is likely going to be the best game of the day outside of this one.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm going to watch it today.
Morocco and Croatia played to a scoreless draw this morning. 88th minute, Japan leads Germany 2-1, which is a ridiculous outcome. Would not have projected that one if you gave me $1,000 to do it. Spain and Costa Rica at 11, Belgium, Canada at 2. Tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day, opens up at 5 a.m. with Switzerland and Cameroon, then Uruguay and South Korea at 8, Portugal and Ghana at 11, Brazil and Serbia in Group G is at 2 p.m. And then on Friday, big day on Friday, Wales and Iran at 5 a.m. I will be waking up early on Friday for that one, mainly because the result of that game may go a long, long way into whether it is Wales or the U.S. that joins England in the knockout round. If you are an American soccer fan, you are a big fan. This is an ironic statement, an unusual statement. You're a big fan of Iran on Friday morning. Need the Iranians to knock off Wales if we can. We need Wales walking out of there without a point, but no worse than a draw. Would love a draw. Same Iranian team, by the way, that got beat 6-2 by England in opening play. England just decimated Iran. So the best possible thing for the Americans would be that the Iranians take some focus. The Iranians take some insult out of what England did to them and throw everything they've got and a little bit more towards Wales. Give them again, at the worst, a draw. At the best, take the full 3 away from them, which would set up some pressure on the Americans to go out and get the win against Iran and prevent Iran from being a dark horse sneaking in. 5:38 projections right now. Yesterday when I went to bed, and I don't know what happened to change them. Yesterday when I went to bed, 5:38 said the Americans had a 54% chance of making it into the knockout round. I woke up this morning and that number's down to like 47% chance. I imagine and certainly hope that those 6-ish, 7-ish percentage points that we lost. By the way, how many stoppage minutes did I say there would be, Tim? 7. How many are there? 7. Damn, I'm good. When I'm good, I'm good, you know? When I'm bad, I'm awful, but when I'm good, I'm good. Anyway, you hope that those 6-ish, 7-ish percentage points we lost from 538 went to Iran and not Wales. But this match on Friday morning between Wales and Iran, here's the thing. I don't know if I'm glad that that game is being played early in the morning or not, right? I don't. Because if you know the result, whether you want to admit it or not, if you know the result, the reality of the situation is that it is going to impact match psychology for the Americans when they take on England at 2 p.m. on Friday. By the way, big day. 2 p.m, England, USA, and then a whole lot of college football rivalry games that evening. Cannot wait. Anyway, if you know the outcome of Wales-Iran, changes the psychology, right? What I don't want is to have a situation in which Wales beats Iran and it changes the mentality that we take going into England, right? Like if you're Greg Berhalter, there's almost a part of me that doesn't want to show my team that match. Almost a part of me that doesn't want to have that one on the TVs in the locker room during training that morning, during warm-ups that morning. Just don't worry about it, right? Go get your result. This match against England is an enormous opportunity for American soccer. It is one of those matches that you go out there and you find a way to get it done when 0 people expect you to. You go out there and find a way to get it done, and the way the world views American soccer is completely changed. Germany on the front foot. Oh, great stop from Japan. Germany had a real opportunity there, and Japan steered it away. They moved the ball into the box, had a couple of extra passes. Great effort. Great effort. All right, let's run to the top of the hour break. Coming back, South Carolina v. Clemson. Let's get into some breakdown. Let's talk a little bit about it. It is a really good one. Nathan says Alabama gets into the playoffs with a loss by LSU and USC. Clemson, no way in. I don't know about that, Nate Dogg. I don't know about that, Nate the Great. I can't see Bama, who did not win their division, even in the SEC West, a very good SEC West. Well, top-heavy SEC West. I don't see non-divisional winner Alabama with 2 losses going in ahead of a 1-loss ACC champion. I don't see it, especially if Clemson wraps up their year with a win over a top 15 team in North Carolina. But we'll talk more about it. My name is Rob Brown. T2's at the board. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. All right, stream, don't go anywhere. Appreciate that, Mike. Yes, I know. And Miss Bonnie, thank you very much. Go Dins. We're all din, baby. Saturday, FCS playoff round 1. I'll be watching that down in the Florida Panhandle. Cannot wait. We'll be hyping the Dins big time, young lady. Hyping the Dins big time. It's great to see you, by the way, Miss Bonnie. I hope everything is going really, really well for you. I do. And obviously, if there's anything we can do for you, you let us know. 100%. All right, we will be right back. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. You are more than welcome, Miss Bonnie. More than welcome.
$1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you, even if you have type 2 diabetes or overweight or have high blood pressure. Term Provider.
Yes.
Thousands of people like you who think they can.
Blow the whistle. Blow the whistle. They're going to get one last attack. That's got to be it. That's got to be it. That's got to be it. Ball game. Japan with the upset. Let's go. Look at the boys. They're excited. I can't imagine anything else. I'll grab my other drink. I'll be back by the time the extra rolls.
Rolling about 15 seconds. I gave you 30 seconds.
Oh, I did. I would have made it.
I'm sorry, man. I should've trusted
It's
you.
all good.
Should've trusted. All right, here we go.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show rolls on. Japan with the finish puts away Germany. Deutschland falls 2-1 at the hands of the Japanese. What a win. What an upset.
What an exciting win.
That was a great game.
It really was.
Great match. Germany scored the first on a PK. The Japanese goalkeeper came out and lost control, diving towards the rock, took out the last German attacker. Germany gets the PK. They put it in the back of the net. They go up 1. Japan gets the equalizer about 20 minutes later. And then an improbable go-ahead goal for the Rising Sun. Outstanding effort from the Japanese. Great match. Great. That's the like one of the problems that I think you have at this level. I'm not going to do a whole segment on World Cup. Let me just say this, and then I'll get back to college football. One of the problems I think that you have with the World Cup is that it's a big enough event that you can start getting people in, right? Like people who maybe aren't regular soccer consumers. Yeah. You can get people in with an event as large as the World Cup, no doubt. The problem is when they tune in and they get saddled with a crap game, whatever curiosity they had, whatever excitement they had can go right back out the window, right? Like if you tune in and you get a boring ass 0-0 draw, and listen, you can have genuinely, you can have a very exciting game where nobody scores a goal, right? You can have a very exciting game where nobody scores a goal. If you understand the game, and I'm not saying that, like, I know that sounds pretentious, right? Well, you just don't understand the game. But to some element, that's true, right? To some element, that is true. It's just like baseball. Some of my favorite games in baseball are pitchers' duels. A 1-0 13th inning win with both teams taking no hitters into the 6th or 7th inning. Like that is excellent to me. The duel between pitchers and a lineup can be exceptionally exciting. A football game that ends 7-3 But it's because you got two defenses that are slugging it out. Offenses that are driving but just can't finish. That can be exciting if you know the game, if you know what you're looking at. If you tune in and you're tuning in just to watch touchdowns, just to watch dingers, then I can see how a 0-0 game would come across as a little bit boring, right? That one didn't. 2-1 win. Underdog getting the upset. You got goals happening, every 20 minutes throughout the match. That's the type of game the World Cup should produce, wants to produce. And when they do, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. All right. Let's get back into some college football. James said the equivalent of a Jags-Texans game. Nah, I wouldn't put you through that, right? Like if I was trying to sell you on the World Cup, I would not try to sell you on, Spain versus Costa Rica this morning at 11. It's not the game I'm going to set you up for. I hope we get that kind of match out of England-USA, right? If we get an England-USA matchup that provides us any level of excitement that Japan-Germany just did, that's the kind of stuff that hooks people, right? And at the end of the day, I've got this theory. Tell me what you think. I mentioned this. If you did not see it yet, I did a podcast on Tuesday, yesterday. I did a podcast with Dallas J, the great Dallas J. Dallas J, of course, is the former goalkeeper for the Greenville Triumph. Great dude. Played 3 seasons here with the Triumph. Won the USL League Championship once. Runner-up twice. 2-time USL League One Goalkeeper of the Year. Did the pod with DJ on Tuesday. And I said to him, when we were talking about, as we did with John Harkes, that podcast is also available by going to thefanupstate.com, hitting the podcast button, dropping it down to the Rob Brown Show. John Harkes, 2-time World Cup player, multi-year veteran of the United States men's national team, 2-time MLS Cup winner, and member of the National Soccer Hall of Fame. Harkes, he's a beaut, man. He's a beaut. Gave this theory to both of them. There are 2 tiers of American sports, specifically at the international level. And those 2 tiers are sports we're good at, and then all the dumb ones, right? Like that's how Americans look at sports on an international level. There's 2 groups. There's the sports we're good at, and then there's all the rest of them that are dumb, right? And we can absolutely, a sport can absolutely flip-flop between those 2 distinctions. Look at swimming. When Michael Phelps was dominating the world, right? I think I saw once, and I could be wrong here, but if Michael Phelps was a country, he'd have like the 23rd most gold medals in the all-time countries list. Forget one dude, right? When Michael Phelps was dominating the world in the pool, America was a swim-obsessed country, right? People were tuning in for the men's 200-meter butterfly.
And walking around with snorkels.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Not as well. And my question is, since Michael Phelps left the pool, how many of y'all watched a men's swimming race since then? None of you. And me either, for the record. Let me throw myself under the bus, too. How many of y'all have watched a men's swim meet since Michael Phelps called it a career? The answer is none ya. Me too. But over on the women's side, there's a young lady by the name of Katie Ledecky. Ledecky is the female Michael Phelps. She is dominant. She is an artist in the pool. She is incredible and worth watching. And when Katie Ledecky hits the pool at the Olympics, we're all team swim again. We are all team swim again when Ledecky is dominating. When I ask about dominant women's sports, what gets mentioned here in this area? Let's just talk here in the upstate of South Carolina. What gets mentioned? South Carolina women's basketball and the U.S. women's national soccer team, right? Why? Because they're dominant. Not win. It's not that they win, right? It's that they're dominant. Who is the reigning defending WNBA champion right now? Anybody know? Does anybody know? Probably not. It's the Las Vegas Aces, right? Now, most of y'all don't care. And there's some storylines there, man. Chelsea Gray was excellent for them this year. Their head coach, Becky Hammon, who was with the Spurs, who I think was probably in line for an NBA head coaching job and might still be one day, considering she showed up to Vegas and no big deal, just went and won the WNBA championship, right? The Las Vegas Aces will become a story if they win 3 or 4 titles in a row. Then people will be like, oh, let's watch. Let's see if they do it again, right? We are tuned into 2 sports as Americans, or 2 groups of sports. Our teams, right? If you're a South Carolina fan, you'd be 6-6, be 3-9, 9-3. You're watching because you were raised with it. And we turn in to see greatness. We turn in to see dominance. Nothing else, right? We do not have the same emphasis on international sport as a lot of other countries do, as European countries do. Why? Because we don't dominate, except for the sports we do. Basketball. How many of y'all have watched a Team USA basketball match in the last 8 years? I'd imagine if you are a basketball fan, you have, right? Why? Because we kick everybody's ass, and it's fun.
I think I did, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure. If nothing else, you've stumbled across it, right? T2 by working.
Well, I used to be a pretty big basketball fan. I just haven't been watching it.
Sure. So you would have come across it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because we dominate. Because we win. Because when Team USA rolls up to the Olympics every 4 years, anything less than a gold medal is a massive letdown, right? Because we dominate. And we expect to dominate. The problem that you have with this level, I said I wasn't going to do a whole World Cup segment, and here we are. The problem we have with football, with soccer, is that we're not dominant yet, right? Now, will we be 1 year? I don't know. Maybe. Will we be in the next World Cup cycle? Here's hoping, right? You give me the same group of guys right now, led by the Reynas and the Pulisic's of the world, but you make them 28, you give them another cycle of World Cup prep, and hopefully we move on and find a better manager than Greg Berhalter. Sorry about it. And I hope by the next time we are competitive with the Spains and the Frances and the Englands and the Germanys, although, whoops, I hope so. I hope we get there. But considering soccer is a second-tier sport because we're not good at it, and because we're not good at it because it's a second-tier sport, something special has to happen to break out of that cycle, right? Something special has to happen. And that, to me, is why Friday's match is so important. On the World Cup side of it, I just want to walk out with a point, right? I just want to walk out with a point. I suspect Wales is going to defeat Iran. They will take a 4-point, if we can draw England, a 4-2 lead into the final game of the group play. But imagine what a win looks like against England, right? Imagine what a win looks like against England. Imagine you walk out of there with a 2-1 win or a 1-0 win or a 3-2 win. And if what I hope / suspect is happening, that is to say that the reason we didn't see a Gio Reyna is because we were saving up our best attacking options to be prepared for Friday against the English, which, by the way, I don't love. I'd have rather had 3 against Wales and be a little tired against England, right? Because statistically speaking, our best effort Friday still results in a loss, right? It's strategery. But if we were saving our best offensive options, our most aggressive offensive options to try to steal a win and get it upset over England, and it happens, it is a paradigm-shifting result. It changes the way that we look at this World Cup. It changes the way that we look at the U.S. men's national soccer team. Because then we go, oh, damn, we can compete with the best in the world, right? We can compete with the best teams in the world. You win that game, you compete with one of the best teams in the world, and at that point, there is no doubt anymore. You can look and go, we can play with anybody. We can win. We can beat anybody. And now the mentality shifts, not just amongst fans who all of a sudden are going to tune into next Tuesday's match against Iran in droves, but you change the mentality on the team. You change the mentality amongst the folks in Qatar that are there banging the drums and making the noise for the boys. And you change the mentality about us around the world. The reason we have the Ricardo Pepis, although we did not bring him, the reason there are so many dual nationals who in years past would have never picked to wear the stars and stripes over their country of lineage. The reason so many of them have been joining the U.S. is because soccer in this country is growing and because the talent pool is getting better. And they're looking and going, wait a minute. You know, I could have played for Germany and been a second-tier guy, but I can start for the Americans. And we're starting to develop the Christian Pulisics and the Gio Reynas of the world. And if you do that, the rest of those guys will go, you know, if I play and that guy plays and that guy plays and that guy plays, all of a sudden we've built a front four that can play with anybody, right? And now all of a sudden you get some other guys. You get some other guys that step up and step in and go, all right, well, those front four are really good. I can be that backline presence. I can be that left back that protects on their right and gives them a little bit more confidence to attack freely. All of that starts with a win, like a potential win over England. Again, we're hefty underdogs in that game. I'm not putting a dime on the Americans to be within one goal at the end of that game. But I'll be dadgum. We pull it off, even get the draw and make it a really competitive game, I will be celebrating the hell out of that on Friday. Don't text me Friday night if we win that game, because I will not be responding to texts. I will be running naked through a street somewhere. It's dramatic. You get it. Joey B said, what the rest of the world and some American soccer purists fail to grasp about American sports is that we have so many options for watching sports 24/7, 365, that to get the attention of the whole country, you have to be great. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You either have to be great or you have to be so miserably bad when you were expected to be great. The LA Lakers, right? But yeah. Think about baseball, right? Think about baseball. Go back to the last 2 weeks leading up to Major League Baseball's playoffs. How much talk did you hear about the Cincinnati Reds? How much talk did you hear about the Chicago Cubs? How much talk did you hear about the Minnesota Twins? Not very much. Why? because they weren't good. We like watching winners. We like watching winners above everything else. And in watching winners with, as Joey B pointed out, so many availables in terms of what you can watch elsewhere, with so much else available, why would I spend my time watching a team that's not good unless it is my team, right? The Saints suck. Bet your ass Sunday I'm still going to be sitting in front of a TV watching them. But so do the Raiders. Do you think I'm going to put my very valuable and limited time into watching the Las Vegas Raiders and the car crash they are? No. Do you think I'm going to put the limited valuable time that I have into watching the Jacksonville Jaguars? No. The Texans? No. I'm going to watch the handful of teams that are a threat to win the Super Bowl do their thing. A win over England makes us look that much more likely. Cocky for a reason text into the show. He said the U.S. will never be dominant in soccer. Our best athletes play other sports. Other nations' best athletes play soccer. Yeah, I get it. I get it. And that has been something I've talked about at length for many years of my career, right? But let me tell you where that comes from. That comes from a stigma about soccer, and a dumb one, frankly, right? I very much remember going to high school. I would have been a soccer player, and I would have been a damn good one. I would have been a damn good goalkeeper. I was 6'3" in high school. I had abs. Glory days. Bow, 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 now. I was 6'3". I had hop. I had speed. I had legs. I had abs. I'd have been a damn good goalkeeper. And, you know, I had enough interest in soccer that I could have played. Then, when I got to high school, and it was time to start making decisions about what sports you were going to play, I got, real men don't play soccer. They play football. If you want to be a man, you're going to play football like a man do. And it drove me away from soccer. I'm not saying I'd have gotten a scholarship, but I had a damn better chance of getting a scholarship to go play soccer than I would have playing anything else. Right? I'm not saying I'd have been Matt Turner, but I'd have been really good at the high school level, maybe good enough to go play small college soccer somewhere, right? But I got told, real men play football. And I fell for it. And every year we get that, what would you do if you had 5 minutes with your younger self, right? 5 minutes to go back in time and give some advice to your younger self. One of the things I tell them is, do play goalie, play soccer. You're good at it. You'd be good at it. You would get a full ride college scholarship if you did it. But I didn't. I fell into that real man play football trap, and it killed me. I'm not saying we should be encouraging football players not to play football. I'm saying we should encourage kids to do what they're good at and love what they're good at and love doing it, right? There are 1,000 Christian Pulisic's in this country right now. 1,000 really good players who will never know, because instead of being encouraged to find the sport that they're best at, they're sitting somewhere as the third string safety on a 2-9 high school football team. They're getting their asses kicked in practice every day to never play, to never see the field. I'm not saying we discourage them. I'm saying if they want to do that, let them do it. But I'm saying you get to a point where that kid doesn't feel obligated to play football because that's what men do. It feels like soccer's a good option. And we find another 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 Christian Pulisics. No reason we don't compete with France, Germany, Spain, Portugal, etc. No reason. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, let's X's and O's this Clemson-South Carolina game. Let's put together some thoughts. Let's diagnose what we expect to see on Saturday night, Saturday afternoon, when Clemson hosts the Gamecocks in the Palmetto Bowl. That's next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Oh crap! Did they do CBS Sports in the second segment of the second hour? For some reason, I feel like they do. I haven't been said anything to for it not doing it either, so I'm just gonna let it ride.
Sunny skies today with a high of 66. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 43. Thanksgiving Thursday, cloudy, high 59 degrees. Friday, chance for rain, high 56. For the weekend, chances for rain with highs around 60. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Kuczynski on.
I'm actually trying to get back. Well, get into football. I kind of am because I've been doing the Furman game, and of course,
Right.
Burns and stuff. And then that game with Ohio State and Maryland was kind of fun to watch, and Skylar's trying to get into it, so I've been trying to get into it. I just don't know where to start.
That's what it means to live meaningfully, to live joyfully, to live fully with Atrium Health, official healthcare provider of the Carolina Panthers.
On Sunday, Baker Mayfield plays
I mean, Kevin, listen, that was amazing to watch. I was walking around the hockey game like 2 days later, showing everybody that video because it was wildly entertaining, right? But it was 25 seconds of excitement in an otherwise relatively mediocre race, right? Soccer's given me 110 minutes of if you know the game and you know what you're looking at, 110 minutes of potential excitement. This whole concept of you have to like one thing more than another, right? Like you have to pick NASCAR or soccer. No, I don't. I'm literally living proof that you don't. Kevin, I will sit and talk NASCAR with you all day and then turn around and break a World Cup game down with no problem, right? Like, I don't know why we have this mindset, this mentality that you're only allowed to like one or two or three, and you have to defend those things to the death, right? If you don't like soccer, you don't like soccer. That's fine. But if you don't like soccer because you've never been exposed to it and you don't get it, I welcome the challenge, the invitation. And I've said this before. If you are even if you even think there might be a spark of interest in you about soccer, come watch a game with me. Come to a Triumph game, right? Come to the bar and watch a US game with me. And let me explain the game to you and what we're looking at and what we're watching so that you see more than just the red team and the blue team kicking the ball back and forth. Like, let me show you how the game works and see if it changes your mentality a little bit. I like Liga MX Soccer. Yeah, because they're insane. They're insane. They beat the hell out of each other. No chance. No chance. Listen, I know there's a lot of dirt racing fans. I'm one of them. You can find me at TR Speedway 5 or 6 times a year, Kev. I am there with you. I love dirt racing. TR Speedway has become one of my favorite haunts, right? And I don't tell anybody I'm going. Like 4 or 5 times a year, I will throw a 6-pack of Coors Light into a mini cooler. I go to TR Speedway. I sit up at the top of the bleachers by myself, and I just watch and enjoy. It's one of the few things I don't really, I'll invite people, but I don't, right? Like, I just go because I love dirt track racing. It is amazing. But more fans than soccer, I invite you to go to downtown Greenville any given Saturday during the Premier League season and tell me that's the case. I can't do it.
I also like dirt track racing.
It's great.
It's awesome. I like watching drag racing too. The only race I don't really like to watch is NASCAR.
I'll watch that too.
I never have. I don't know why. My dad likes it. He used to watch the race all the time. But I think I just don't like stock cars.
From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands
Going back to what you were saying about America only watches like what you're saying about the swimming and stuff like that. Yeah, Tony Hawk's another one.
Yeah.
Same thing.
When
Tony Hawk is winning
Shaun White,
X Games,
Yeah.
Shaun White, all of them, it was like everybody
Yeah,
was
everybody's
all
a
about their
skateboard fan.
snowboard,
Yeah.
all about their skateboard.
exactly.
Yeah. But if I said who's Paul Rodriguez, they'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Who's winning skate competitions, and he's like probably my age, if maybe a little older. No. Tony Hawk's old though now. Like he did a 900, I think it was like last year, and he said this is the last one I'm ever doing. Because he fell a few times, and they were hard falls, and you could see him get up, and he could barely move. See, I miss back in the old days when it was Tony Hawk versus Tuss Pappas and his brother Ben, and all those old names in skateboarding. There's a real rivalry there, man. I can't wait for X Games this year.
I like X Games it's one of those things. Like I enjoy it. I tune in, but there's so much else going on that it's like it's hard to be able to say I'm going to commit this much time to it. And like for me, it's obviously interesting and different than a lot of other folks. Like I have to know what's going on in the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, college football, which eats up most of my enjoyment time. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. My name is Rob. Tim Snow's at the helm. Short little segment here. Well, shortish. Then we kick it on out to the end of hour number 2, head into hour 3. If you missed it, obviously we are off tomorrow for Thanksgiving. We will be off on Friday.
No. You will be off on Friday.
I will be off on Friday. And then I will be off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week as well, taking a little time, vacation time with the fam down in the Sunshine State. I will make my triumphant return to you next Thursday. Be on the air with you next Thursday, Friday, and then it's pretty much full speed ahead until the Christmas weeks. Let's take a look at South Carolina versus Clemson. The Clemson spread, I did not see it open at 16, but I got told that some sites had it opening as high as 16. Right now, that line sitting, depending on where you get it, at either 14 or 14.5. 2 touchdown favorites at home are the Tigers. But Joey B just hit me with the memeage. Solid meme of a blank stare Puff Daddy with the line, Clemson and South Carolina fans holding back the smack talk because neither fan base knows which version of their team will show up on Saturday. Yeah. As a great Kurt Angle said, oh, it's true. It's damn true. Now, why do I lean Clemson? As a radio analyst, why do I lean Clemson? I lean Clemson because while the South Carolina that played Tennessee on Saturday night can absolutely beat Clemson in their house or anywhere else, that team shows up, they can beat Clemson. There's a couple of things going on. Number one, Clemson's defense is better than Tennessee's. Okay? That effort against Tennessee was exceptional. Clemson's got more dudes up front. It will not be as easy. Spencer Rattler will not have as much time to move around in the pocket. and B, the ability to set back up after he does, right? Go back and look at a handful of those down the field tosses that Rattler hit when he got outside of the pocket. He'd get outside, was able to establish his base, and then deliver the football. He's going to be on the run a little bit more against the El Tigres, Los Tigres, in Death Valley on Saturday. Number two, that is also going to mean that his wide receivers will not have as much time in order to develop their routes, will not have as much time to find out where guys are sitting down and open up some room for Spencer Rattler. It is going to be much more chaotic than it was against Tennessee. Tennessee was never going to win games by holding you to 10. They were going to win games by getting to 60. Now, South Carolina's offense that played on Saturday night will absolutely get there. Not to 60. I'm saying they will be able to get to the end zone against Clemson, if that's the team that shows up. On the flip side, what Clemson team shows up, right? Is it the Clemson that beat Miami by 30, as they were expected to, as they were supposed to? Or is it the Clemson team that turns the ball over 4 times, 5 times against Syracuse, gives them a bunch of extra possessions, right? DJ misses a couple of overthrows. He had a couple of overthrows against Miami. One of them got picked off, right? If he misses a couple of overthrows, and South Carolina is able to snag 1 or 2 of them, and the good South Carolina shows up, there's an extra 10 points right there, right? Give me a touchdown, give me a field goal on turnovers, and that game's dramatically different, right? Dramatically different. You guys saw what Clemson is capable of against Miami. You also saw what they are capable of against Notre Dame, against Syracuse. You guys saw the top end of what South Carolina is capable of doing against Tennessee, but you also saw the top end of what they're capable of doing against Mizzou, right? How does a team that struggled to put up 10 against one of the worst teams in the Southeastern Conference in Missouri in their own house, then turn around and put up 63 on one of the best teams in the SEC? How's that work? Give me that Steiner math, bro, because I got nothing. You know, we'll get into coverages, schemes, etc. We'll get into tactics as the show progresses. But we're 11 games into the season, right? We are all but 1 game done away from wrapping up the regular season. And I think the interesting thing here, and I think Joey B's meme pointed this out as accurately as anything I can say. Both of these teams are a little bit Jekyll and Hyde, right? They're a little bit Jekyll and Hyde. The difference is that South Carolina put their hide on display in 1 game, the last game against Tennessee. Clemson has alternated back and forth throughout the year. Again, not elite at any one thing, but good enough at everything to just be better than a South Carolina team that had a lot of bad games this year, right? Florida, Mizzou. Those were atrocious. That game against Florida 2 weeks ago was if you're a Gamecock fan and you tell me that beat down by the hands of the Gators in Gainesville was anything less than a flat out embarrassment, I'm going to call you a homer, right? I'm going to call you a homer. That was embarrassing. But then they turn around and they embarrass Tennessee 7 days later. I don't know which Gamecock team you're going to get, right? For the sake of a great game, I hope it's the same Gamecock team that played Tennessee. For the sake of a great game, I hope that it is the Clemson team that did everything right for the most part against Miami. I'm with the best game we can get. If you get the South Carolina team that beat Tennessee, that team is good enough. That team is good enough. Somebody's calling, I think. That team is good enough to beat the best Clemson has put on the field this year, right? The team that beat Tennessee is good enough to beat the best that Clemson's put out. But as I mentioned, that is one game out of 11. The South Carolina team that played in any of the other 11 games, other 10 games for the Gamecocks this year, they lose. They lose, right? That's, again, I just don't know. South Carolina fans should be excited, man. You are hoping that you just flipped a switch. You are hoping that whatever gree-gree, whatever voodoo inspired y'all against Tennessee is in the air in Death Valley on Saturday, because the team that beat Tennessee can beat Clemson. But there were 10 other games before that. And the South Carolina team that played in those 10 other games could not. Could not. It's that simple. I'm bad at math, but statistics say that's 10% of your games where you look like you could beat Clemson. Clemson had a couple of games, Notre Dame, Syracuse, where they played bad enough to lose to South Carolina. But then they flipped the switch against Miami and just went out there and ran them up and down the field like they were supposed to, right? That team can beat South Carolina in the other 10 games they played that weren't Tennessee. It's just, it really is. I know this is lazy. I know it's cliche. I hate it. Can you predict which South Carolina team shows up versus which Clemson team shows up? Statistically speaking, it is likely that the South Carolina from weeks 1 through 11 showed up and Clemson's just got to outlast them. But there's a 10% chance. Let me get Ralph in here calling from the GVL. Welcome back to the show, big dog. How we doing?
Yeah, what's going on there, Meathead? It's good to talk with you again.
Pleasure's mine.
Sitting here listening to all this. I don't know what to think either. You know, I've been telling you guys that Ray Tanner's a friggin' moron for even hiring Beamer from the get-go. But I'll tell you what, I was at Willie B last week, and I was ready to boo Rattler, and I was ready to boo Beamer because I'm sick of both of those guys. But I'll tell you what, by the end of that first quarter, they had me believing. And I never thought I'd say that this season, but here I am. But let me tell you what I'm afraid of is they're going to crap the bed. It's going to be they let it all loose for Clemson, or they let it all loose for Tennessee. When they get to Clemson next week, they're going to have nothing left. And you know what? I'm going to call in next week if we get our brains beat out this week, and I'm going to say what I've said all year long. Get rid of Ray Tanner. He's a cancer to the University of South Carolina. He was great as a baseball coach. He can't hire coaches. And I don't even know that Beamer can coach yet. All he is a glorified cheerleader. So, you know what? I'm going to tip my cap to Marcus Satterfield because he knew his butt was on the line last week. He got his act together for 1 week. He's got to do it 2 weeks in a row, though. I've got to see it 2 weeks in a row before I'll believe in this mess. I'm like you. I just don't have that confidence yet. And I hate Clemson. With all my being, I hate Clemson. But I'm concerned. I'm concerned that they might go in there and get their butts handed to them. But you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. God bless. Bye-bye.
Ralph, appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy. And we had better hear from you next week. Good, bad, ugly, and different. Either to give Shane Beamer his flowers or to make another run at Ray Tanner. Ray Tanner. Love Ralph, man. That's a hype up call. Shane Beamer is a glorified cheerleader. Love that guy. Texas said, Rob, I get it. Carolina has to prove that they can beat Clemson in Clemson. Memorial Stadium, South Carolina has to win 3 out of 5 to get respect back. That all can start this week. Clemson has better players, but Beamer is bringing in good recruits. The best days of Carolina are ahead of them. Again, my question is, what do you believe? What do you believe? Do you believe that the game against Tennessee is the new rule and not the exception? Or do you believe that they ran every drop of gas out of the tank against Tennessee, and we're going to go back to what the first 10 games of the seasons look like? Which of those do you believe? And South Carolina fans, I am officially and on the record asking you right now, what do you believe? That Tennessee was the rule, not the exception, or the exception, not the rule? Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 2. Get set to head into the final hour of broadcasting for this week. My final hour of broadcasting for a week. That's next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Yeah, no, Kevin, that is most definitely not a South Carolina accent from Crazy Ralph in Greenville. Big Shane Beamer. Oh, Ralph. What a guy. All right, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, kids. Oh, it turns out I had me on mute that whole time. Well, I was just reading a bunch of text. You guys didn't miss anything. That's on me. Ralph Capass is a Mets Jets fan. No, that's a Red Sox guy. He's a Red Sox and Patriots guy. Still complaining about Tom Brady. Carolina going down. Gonna have win 8 in a row. Shipley is going to have a $1.80. I wouldn't bet against that, to be honest with you. I would not bet against Will Shipley having a career day. South Carolina's front four can give up some yards. Will Shipley's the most underappreciated college football player in the country right now. Or maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. All right, real quick, hitting the restroom. We will be right back, and I'll jump back on, and we'll have some more fun. Stick right there, kids. All right, I remember to unmute us this time. Sorry. Sorry, Skrilla. Dude said, thought it was my earbud. Should have seen me out here in the customer's backyard pushing on my ear, staring at my phone. Yeah, my bad. My bad. I'm just an idiot. Bad at my job. What do you want? Mm-mm. No, you're good. So during the break, I was scrolling the social medias during the break Because you never know when you're going to come across something, right? Like news breaks ever so quickly on the social medias. I'm scrolling the social media and I come across a video from the LSU Instagram account. Now I'm not a big Instagram guy, right? I think of the social medias, Instagram's the worst because all Instagram does is allow people to highlight the absolute best parts of their life, right? And when you get on there, all you see is the best parts of people's life, and it can kind of have a negative impact on you. But every now and then I see something like this. They put up a post that asked, have you seen this missing end zone pylon, right? They show one of the end zone pylons from LSU. It's got the Tiger Head logo on it. It was in the back corner. And the reason they ask was because they captured on video, right, the end of the Alabama LSU game after the game goes final in overtime when LSU successfully converted the 2-point conversion for the win. And on the screen, you see Mike the Tiger going wild. But then my favorite part is there's this dude, black shorts, purple LSU polo. He runs out onto the field and he just yanks the pylon. Later. See ya. That's college football fandom at its finest. I'm showing it on the stream right now. But my dude in the black shorts and the purple polo, coming from the left side of the screen, just immediately picks up the pylon and takes off. Now, I'm not a big fan of thievery, right? Like, don't take stuff that doesn't belong to you, all right?
Wouldn't that be theft?
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. Don't do that, okay? Don't do that. But if you're going to do it, I probably would not advise doing it in front of 110,000 other people. I certainly would not advise doing it in front of 110,000 people at an event that you know has, I don't know, 2,000 to 3,000 cameras pointed at it at any given second, right? My dude saw the opportunity, grabbed the pylon, and then just took off. Just gone. Later. I mean, that's a hell of a souvenir if you can find a way to keep it, right? That is a hell of a souvenir. I am thinking about it now, and I don't know a single person that owns a game-used end zone pylon, right? I've seen game balls, game-worn jerseys, game-worn helmets. I've seen it all. I have never seen anybody holding on to a game-used end zone pylon. But my dude ran directly in front of LSU's entire social media team with cameras pointed on one of the most prolific and historic plays in the history of that program. Pick up the pylon, put it away like he is a fullback running through the line, 5 points of contact. I mean, it's excellent form, you know? If I was trying to teach a fullback how I want them to carry the ball when they hit the goal line, running off guard, this is a pretty good instructional video for it. The guy picks it up, right? One thing they don't teach kids enough. I used to do this when I coached football, coached Little League football for a couple of years. One of the things that I used to do, we spent a day on it. is a proper technique for picking up a fumble, right? You do not scoop up from underneath the ball. A football has a very unique shape to it, right? This is the beauty of the stream. I can demonstrate. Very unique shape. Anywhere that ball hits on the ground can send it yeet in a different direction than you're used to or expecting it to go, right? The correct way to pick up a football when it's on the ground is not to get under the football and try to bring it up to you, right? You don't want to reach under the football because a couple of things. Number one, it can be coming up off of a weird bounce, and you're going to put your hands here thinking it's going to go to the right, but it hits the right way and it spits off to the left, and now all you're doing is hitting the ball and shooting it further away from your teammates. The second thing is, as much as a ball can bounce off the ground, it can bounce off your hand as well. The correct method to pick up a fumble is not to reach under it. It is to put your hand on the top of the ball and press it down into the ground, right? Press it down into the ground and then pick it back up. That's what this dude did. That's what this guy did. Pressed it down into the ground, then picked it up, put it into the arm. 5 points of contact, Tim. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 points of contact. And if you're going into the goal line, you double it up, right? Both hands on the ball. Hold that thing to your chest like it is your own child. And don't let go, Rose. Never let go. This dude did that, man. Pressed it into the ground, picked it up, 5 points of contact, and then hit the hole at light speed. It's fantastic effort from that young man. I don't necessarily know that it was the most genius idea to do it right in front of the LSU social media team.
What did he steal?
The end zone, you know, the orange end zone pylon?
Oh, yeah.
Picked up one of those.
The marker. Okay. Yeah.
Picked up one of those and took off. Now, I am being told that he did not steal it, and I got. Oh, okay. So he was apparently he was I guess he's he's actually an LSU staff member. I don't know. Look, all I know is it was a hell of an effort. A hell of an effort. Here, I'll even, I'll put it up on the big screen. I'll put it up on the stream. Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate. Twitter.com/TheFanUpstate. Or search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. Here's a great look at it, right? So here comes the touchdown. It's going to be scored right there in that corner, just in front of. We got a GoPro strapped to the top of a regular camera. So there's the touchdown, or the 2-point conversion successful. There's old Mike the Tiger right there in the left corner. Mike is hype AF. Mike is hype. Mike's taking off on a dead sprint. And as he does, watch to the left. Mike gets hype. Mike goes on a run. And there is our culprit on the left. Purple shirt, black shorts, red hair. Walks in. Watch the fumble recovery here on the stream, ladies and gentlemen. But let me make sure I got that pulled up. Here we go. There we go. In fact, I'll even go on full screen for it. I'll even give you the full screen so you can get the full impact. There goes Mike. Here comes the 2-point conversion. There goes Mike. And then watch the fumble recovery here by Purple Shirt. Hands on the ball. Look down at it. Make sure you keep eye contact on the football. Press down, pick up, secure, boom, tuck it away, take off. But it's excellent. It's excellent. Grabs the sides, push it down, tuck it away, 5 points, take off. That's just excellent work, man. That's just excellent work out of the young man. Anyway, Skrilla's telling me he didn't steal it, that I guess he was a member of the staff or something. I don't care. It's a great move. It's a great effort. Great effort. He is apparently an LSU equipment manager, which makes sense, right? fact, let me go look at it again. I wonder, did anybody grab the front pylon, right? Did anybody grab the front pylon? That's going to be the tell. Back pylon secured. I can't see. I can't tell. I'm going big screen over here. Let's see. Where'd the front pylon go? There it is. It gets hit. It gets knocked OB. I can't see it. It just disappears. I'm going to go. There were two purple shirts running at it, though. I'm going to go. He was an LSU equipment manager who was on pylon detail. I don't care. It's great. It's a great video. All right. Let's get to some other stuff coming up this weekend, shall we? We have spent some time talking about the the SEC v. ACC, South Carolina v. Clemson matchup. By the way, Spain has just got a chip shot goal. Was able to get Costa Rica on the back foot, set numbers into the box, little chip shot up and over. And with 12 minutes played, the Spanish hold a 1-0 lead over the Costa Ricans. Anyway, let's take a look at some college football. We mentioned before we get into the schedule, the playoff rankings came out last night. Georgia, no surprise at 1. Ohio State, no surprise at 2. Michigan, not a surprise at 3. TCU, not a surprise at 4. Bit of a surprise at number 5. As the LSU Tigers make their way at 9-2 into that spot with one name to go against Jimbo's Aggies, followed by an appearance in the Southeastern Conference Championship. Lonzo told me, and we'll hear from him. Well, y'all will hear from him on Monday. I won't. Well, I will. I'll be listening to the show, but I won't be here. Lonzo said there is no way that a 2-loss team is getting in. I tried to tell you differently. I tried to set you up. I tried to get you prepared for it. If, and I don't think we're going to find out because I don't think it's going to happen. But if LSU knocks off Georgia in the SEC championship game, the LSU Tigers will be in the playoff. I'm going to go ahead and call that shot right now. If LSU beats Georgia, they won't. Georgia's really good. LSU's very good. That's a team that grew a lot this season. I got to think LSU, from week 1 to week 12, LSU's got to be considered the most improved football team in college football, right? I mean, again, you go back, you look at that loss to Florida State at the beginning of the year. A lot of folks thought that was a backbreaker, right? A lot of folks thought that's going to make them look bad. But FSU is a 3-loss football team. They are sitting right now at a 3-loss team, and all 3 of their losses came to, at the time, top 15 teams. NC State, Wake, and Clemson. They also have a dub now up on LSU. Now number 5 in the playoff poll, right? It's a pretty good spot to be in. LSU is a 2-loss team. If they are SEC champions, will get in. And I'll go ahead and get you prepared right now. The discussion is going to be about how the college football playoff is now the Southeastern Conference Invitational. Make noise in the SEC, you get in. But man, if they beat Georgia and their only 2 losses on the year are to a top 10 Tennessee team, a top 5 Tennessee team, and to a top 16 Florida State team at the end of the year, that's a really good set of performances, right? I would absolutely think you are more than justified in saying that an 11-1 ACC champion, should Clemson win the thing, and I suspect they will, should go in ahead of a 2-loss Southeastern Conference champion. But the argument you're going to get back is the number 1 team in the country is in the SEC. The number 5 team in the country is in the SEC. The number 9 team in the country is in the SEC. The number 7 team in the country is in the SEC. 40% of the top 10 spots in the college football playoff world right now, 40% of the top 10 spots belong to the Southeastern Conference. Now, ready for the next argument, which is, yeah, Rob, but like everybody's going to look like a top 10 team if you just make all the rest of them a top 10 team and claim that they only play top 10 teams, right? What about the Ole Mississippi's of the world? What about the Mississippi States of the world? I get it. But again, Georgia Clemson, who you got? Right now, today, Georgia Clemson, who you got? Best in the ACC, who you got? Georgia USC, who you got? LSU Clemson, who you got right now? Right now, LSU Clemson, who you got? I'll take LSU minus 3.5. Close game. LSU minus 3.5. Clemson, Alabama, right now, who you got? Take Bama minus 2.5, maybe 1.5 in that one, right? Close game. Still like Bama. I got no problem with the argument, primarily because the only way to settle it, unfortunately, is looking at it through a lens of subjectivity, right? You got to look at it, and it's a subjective decision. Georgia wins the ACC. Georgia wins all the conferences. LSU, I think, wins the ACC. Yeah, I know they lost to Florida State. But keep in mind, that was the Florida State team, who, by the way, has gotten dramatically better as well. If LSU is the most improved team, I think Florida State, from last year to this year, is one of the most improved teams. But an FSU team that already had a tune-up game in the bag the week before, LSU did not. A cold LSU team versus Florida State, who already had a tune-up bag ahead of them, or behind them, I should say, and lost to Florida State by a blocked PAT. If that PAT is good, that game goes to overtime. LSU wins that game. Every bit of momentum was with the Tigers. They win that game. It's not how football works, but you get it. LSU would win the ACC this year. They would win the Pac-12. They would win the Big 12. The only conference they would not win would be the Big 10, with Ohio State and Michigan up top. Tennessee's a question mark because they just lost to a middle-of-the-pack South Carolina SEC team. But I think Tennessee wins the ACC unless they have an absolute meltdown like they did against South Carolina, which maybe, again, lens of subjectivity. This kind of is what it is. Texas says, Rob, LSU lost to Tennessee by 27 points, and if they played FSU again this Saturday, the outcome would be the same. I don't know, man. I don't know if I believe that, to be honest with you. LSU's offense took a long time to get clicking in that game. I think they have found a rhythm, found a pace they did not have in week 1 later on in the season. And FSU's offense, while very much improved, is not Tennessee's with Hendon Hooker good, right? Like, let's not, I mean, I know we like to point out that South Carolina put 63 up on the Volunteers, but let's not forget that they put 38 up on the Gamecocks in their house, right? 38 will win you most college football games. That's still a really good performance out of Tennessee offensively until Hendon Hooker got. They just suck at defense. It is what it is. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the weekend football schedule when we come back here in just a minute. My name is Rob Brown. My man T2's on the ones and twos. You are listening to The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Two 0. Be right back, guys. Hang on one second for.
be sure to stop by your local South Carolina Education Lottery retailer and get your ticket today. See SCEducationLottery.com for jackpot odds in a store near you.
Listen to the Odyssey House. The fan of state.
If you haven't done it already, make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you are subscribed to and have your alerts turned on for the Views from Mint Street podcast. Myself, Lonzo Wrights, will break down Carolina Panther football every single week, 3 times a week, as a matter of fact. We want you, if you are a Panther fan or an NFC South fan or just a fan of football, we want you to be there with us as we talk Panther football. We will be recording another episode immediately after the show today. I will be bailing out of here right after showtime, getting on with the great one Lonzo, recording that podcast immediately after the show. It will drop later on this afternoon or early evening, and we will break down yet another matchup for the Panthers, the 3-win Broncos coming to town. It should be. You would like to see this be a Carolina Panther win to prove that they are pointed in the right direction against the 3-7 Broncos. But the Broncos do have one of the better up front passing defenses in the National Football League. And so this is going to be a real challenge. This is going to be an interesting one for the Panthers. We'll have the full breakdown on the Views from Mint Street podcast. We appreciate y'all that have subscribed to it. We appreciate y'all that have got the alerts turned on. And we appreciate those of you who have shared it around to the rest of your Panthers friends and family. For those of you that have not done that yet, we ask that you do. We would love to continue to grow that community. All right, college football weekend upcoming. We have got a couple of games that are in the books already. If you did not watch the 17-18 throwdown last night between Ball State and Miami, boy, howdy, did that one get fun at the end. Ohio put away Bowling Green 38-14, your final. Got a matchup tomorrow night, the Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving night. Mississippi State is at Ole Miss. The Lane Kiffin drama has been nothing shy of hilarious this week. A news anchor out of Mississippi said that he had sources that claim that Lane Kiffin was going to inform the Ole Miss Rebels on Friday that he was stepping away from that program and would be accepting the head coaching job at Auburn. Then Lane came out and was like, yeah, I don't know who your sources are. That's not happening. Didn't even know that was offered. It was pretty good. Lane's a good Twitter follow. A very good Twitter follow. Anyway, got a few matchups on Friday. Baylor at Texas looks a little more interesting. Baylor gave TCU all that they wanted last weekend. TCU escaped, as did Ohio State, as did Michigan, by the hairs on their chinny chin chins. Now Baylor's at Texas in Austin, and that game looks like it might have a little bit of intrigue. Arizona State's at Arizona at 3 p.m. on on Black Friday. NC State at North Carolina. UNC dropped out of playoff consideration with their loss to Georgia Tech last week. They do still have an ACC championship game coming up against Clemson to prepare for. This is an interesting one. NC State, a team that spent a significant amount of time inside the top 25, is trying to creep back in. I don't know. Doesn't matter. They can't win the division. They can't win the ACC. They're just playing for pride under Dave Doeren at this point. Dave Doeren trying to prove that his hype coming into the season was fair and not a fluke. UCLA taking on California at 4:30. Florida State is at 7:30. That one's interesting as well. FSU, a 9.5-point favorite at home up on the Gators, a Florida team that beat the hell out of South Carolina a couple of weeks ago, but then lost on the road at Vanderbilt this past weekend. FSU, on the other hand, dramatically improved football team. That is a feather in the cap of the Clemson Tigers. Clemson, big FSU fans. They need all of the assisted style points that they can get right now. Because even if LSU does fall to Georgia in the SEC title game, Bama is still ranked ahead of Clemson, which is interesting. A big FSU win over Florida would help out Clemson quite a bit. Then on Saturday, Georgia Tech and Georgia, that's going to be a massacre. Scratch that. On paper, that should be a massacre, and it still might be. I don't frankly think that Georgia really needs to even try that hard to knock off the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech, right? I think they're pretty settled as it stands. But that being said, Georgia doesn't need style points, right? Talked about that a little bit yesterday. Georgia doesn't need style points. They are in. Win out, they are in. Hell, even if they lose to LSU, they're probably still in. Like FPI says, like a 99.7% chance of getting in. They would have to lose to Georgia Tech and LSU to get out, which, no. Michigan, Ohio State is at noon on this one. FPI from ESPN gives the Buckeyes a 72% chance to win, but that's on paper, man. That's on paper. We'll see what it plays out. We'll see what it looks like. It's going to be cold, Jack. Going to be cold in Columbus. Game time weather, looking about 45 degrees and cloudy, so wind chill will be down near freezing. Ohio State is sitting right now at a 7.5-point favorite on the line. Over-under set at 56 in that game. So they're expecting maybe not the highest scoring game between these two. Michigan has won their last 5, but they had a close one against Illinois, 19-17 last week. Ohio State won theirs 43-40, a little more room to breathe, but keep in mind, they caught a scoop and score at the very end, or else that would have been a hell of a lot closer than it was. This game's interesting, man. Michigan, Ohio State should be a good one. South Carolina, Clemson also tips at noon. That one in Memorial Stadium, down the road in Clemson. You know, we broke this game down quite extensively at the beginning of the second hour of the show. It comes down to what South Carolina team shows up, what Clemson team shows up, right? Which one of those two teams shows up? Which one of those teams for both teams shows up, right? It is going to be, I think, a Clemson favored game, right? I think it's a Clemson favored game. And I think it is a Clemson favored game solely because if you ask me to take a gamble on which South Carolina team shows up, I can't say that the team that showed up once against Tennessee is the one I would bank on showing up as opposed to the one that showed up in the other 10 games. Now, you could make the argument, if you wanted to, that that was the team that showed up against A&M and Kentucky, but let's be real, it's not. It's not the same team. We know that. Clemson on the flip side. Did we get the team that got blanked by Notre Dame? Not shut out, just beat. Did we get the team that turned the ball over a fistful of times against Syracuse? Or do we get the team that you got against Miami, that put their head down, went to work, and did exactly what they were supposed to do, exactly the way they were supposed to do it? If you know the answer to that, you know how that game's going to turn out. But I don't. And I'm okay with that. Let's look at the NFL schedule real quick. Those are our early big games. We've got a few more coming down the pipe on college football Saturday. Louisville versus Kentucky at 3. That's an ugly rivalry game nobody talks about, right? Louisville number 25. Will Levis has got one more chance to plead his case to be a top 3 pick in the National Football League draft. The Iron Bowl is at 3:30. Auburn at Alabama. On paper, Alabama ought to win this game by 35 points. But if you've watched enough Iron Bowls, you know doesn't always go the way it's supposed to, right? That Auburn team is playing hard for Cadillac, the interim head coach. They are working for Cadillac. And while I am absolutely a dude that delves into X's and O's and tactics and schemes and all that, sometimes 11 average dudes playing as a united front can beat 11 dudes who are really talented, but not. That being said, it's also Alabama. So that doesn't happen very often. That'd be interesting. We'll see how that one plays out. Tennessee at Vandy is at 7:30. So is Notre Dame at USC. That's the biggest game of the evening, is Notre Dame at USC. That is a game that is 100% going to dictate a playoff spot. If SC knocks off Notre Dame, we know the value of a Notre Dame win to the committee, a win over Notre Dame to the committee, right? Clemson is where they are because their 1L was to a team that the committee likes a lot in Notre Dame. But there's still a lot they got to get done. Over in the NFL, Buffalo at Detroit is at 12:30 on Thanksgiving Day. New York, the G-Men at Dallas in your late afternoon kick on Thursday. And New England will wrap us up at 8:20 when they're on the road at Minnesota. Dallas coming off of a wild beatdown of the Vikings, 40-3. The hell was that, Minnesota? A field goal early, never found scoring range again. A 7-game win streak for the Minnesota Vikings ends getting romped 40-3. Good gosh, was that bad. Dak, 22 of 25, 276, 2 touchdowns, no picks. On the flip side, Kirk Cousins, Mr. Primetime, 12 of 23, 105. They went with Nick Mullins late, 5 of 7 for 54. Dalvin Cook, 72 yards, 80 for Pollard, 42 for Zeke. It's ugly. It's ugly. New England is at Minnesota at 8:20. Then on Sunday, Tampa at Cleveland. Tampa Bay with a win over the Browns, and it should be a win over the Browns. Tampa Bay with a win over the Browns is going to go ahead, and I'll call the shot now. Pending any chaos or injuries, Tampa Bay beating Cleveland will effectively win the division for them. It'll put that one out of reach. That one's in Tampa. They should be fine with that. Keep in mind, the Cleveland Browns, sitting at 3-7, are eligible to play Deshaun Watson next week. Whether or not he does will depend on if the Browns win this game. Spoiler alert, they won't. Cincinnati's at Tennessee. This one I like. The Bengals at 6-4. The Bengals at 6-4 have pointed the ship in the right direction. But the Titans are 7-3. The Titans are the one team that, for whatever reason, nobody's talking about. They went to Green Bay, and while beating 4-7 Green Bay is nothing special this year, they went to Green Bay. Derrick Henry carried the ball 28 times. Ryan Tannehill threw for 333 on the day. 22 of 27, 2 touches to go with it. That game's got real interest to me. That's in the 1 o'clock window. Houston's at Miami. Miami should win that one by all the points. Chicago at the Jets. Breaking news, by the way. The New York Jets, Adam Schefter is reporting that Jets players have been informed that Zach Wilson will not start for the New York Jets this weekend. The Jets got beat 10-3 by the Patriots. Zach Wilson was 9 of 22 for 77 yards in a duel against 23 of 27 for 246 Mac Jones. They threw for 77 yards. They ran for 59. The Jets are suddenly bad again, even at 6-4. So Zach Wilson will not start for the Jets, mainly because they're in a playoff window, right? Not a good one, but they're in a playoff window. Atlanta is at Washington at 1 o'clock. This is the Washington team that, as you saw, ended the undefeated season of the Philadelphia Eagles when they knocked off the Eagles 32-21. Then they went and did what they were supposed to do and beat the Texans in Houston last week, 23-10. If the Falcons want a crack at the division, currently sitting at 5-6 and second in the division, a half game behind Tampa, they have got to win this game on the road at a Washington team that's kind of find itself a little bit. Baltimore is going to beat Jacksonville by 100. Chargers at Cardinals, nobody cares at 405. Las Vegas at Seattle at 405, nobody cares. Los Angeles at Kansas City at 425. Kansas City's going to win that game by 30. What the hell happened to the Rams? New Orleans at San Francisco, that one is at 425. That one's going to get ugly as well. Not excited about it. San Francisco's going to beat New Orleans by about 30 points in that one. They're 9.5-point favorites. San Francisco's going to step up one more game in that division, and then we'll wrap it up Sunday night with Green Bay at Philly. Yay. Monday night, Pittsburgh at Indy. So there's your NFL schedule and a few thoughts on some of those games. All right. Let's take our final break of the day. When we come back, we will put a bow on this week. We will put a bow on Thanksgiving week. I will get you set as Lonzo and a parade of guest hosts will carry you next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'll return to you next Thursday. So let's finish this bad boy up strong when we come back. My name is Rob. T2 is on the board, and you are listening to The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, kids, we are back. Happy Thanksgiving, Trey. Appreciate you guys, man. Josh Allen gets turkey leg number 3 tomorrow. We'll see. Probably.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card
Oh.
I agree, buddy. Oh.
So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-728-8500. 800-728-8500. That's 800-728-8500. I studied Spanish in college and never got fluent. But then I tried Babbel.
Want the most effective way to learn another language? In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons will have you learning another language in as little as 3 weeks.
Babbel gets you speaking quickly about things you actually talk about in the real world.
University studies have shown that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a semester of college Spanish. If you want to learn a new language, there's no better way than Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try Babbel for free. That's BABBEL.com.
This afternoon, sunshine mixing with clouds, high of 67.
Weather brought to you by One Thing. Improve your gas mileage by properly inflating tires and taking your car in for a tune-up. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow.
More than a score sales sports talk for real sports fans.
The Rob Brown Show, now in 19
Listen on your phone. Download the
All right, wrapping up the Rob Brown Show here on the Fan Upstate as we head into Thanksgiving weekend. I wanted to take just a second. You know, like I know a lot of hosts today on different stations around the country, and I got no issue with it. You know, they're going to do their "What are you thankful for in sports?" Well, I will answer that question on the way out the door, and the answer is you guys. You guys are what I'm thankful for, and I know it's cliche. I know. Stop crying. I haven't even gotten to the good part yet. You guys are what I am thankful for in sports, because here is the reality. Rob Brown is living a dream, and Rob Brown is living a dream that even just a couple of years ago, if I may be honest with you, I thought was dead. All right. I thought this dream was dead. I put a lot of work early into my career. I spent a lot of time trying to get to somewhere like this, and it didn't work out. And you guys have heard the old woe is me story about what happened to me in Jacksonville. I'm not going to get into it, but suffice to say, when the Jacksonville experiment fell apart, right? When the Jacksonville experiment fell apart and I was in a U-Haul headed back to Pensacola, Florida with everything I owned in the back of a truck, I genuinely thought that this experiment was over. I was like, all right, you know what? I gave it a shot. I gave it a run. I tried to make a career out of it, and I failed. And that's okay. Failure happens. It is not failing. It is failing to get back on the horse. That is ultimately failure. And but I really did. I thought the dream was dead. I thought the career was over. I thought that we were done. And by we, I mean I. I thought that I was done. I thought that this was over. I thought I was on the way out. And very fortunate for me. And I'll start with a hefty thanks to one Mark Ryan. because I called Mark and I said, look, man, last ditch effort. Can you listen to my demo tape and just give me some thoughts? And he's like, dude, yes, send it to me. Let me get you in here, right? And he got me a crack. And I came up here. I worked with Mark Hendricks. I went through the whole experience. I am ever so thankful to Steve Sinacrapi, to Mark Hendricks, to Mark Ryan, to the folks in leadership positions here at the Fan Upstate that took a shot at me, right? Like they didn't know me. Mark knew me, but you know, as we've told you guys many times, the last time Mark Ryan and I worked together, we gave each other concussions with the headbutts that we gave each other, right? And the folks here took a risk. They took a crack on me, and they brought me here. I'm eternally grateful for that. And then once I got here and we started this stupid little show we do for 3 hours every day, and the ridiculousness that comes along with it, you guys have embraced it. You guys have allowed me to become a part of the sports culture here in this upstate community, from Spartanburg to Greenville and at all points in between. You guys have embraced me and the stupidity of the show that I do, and the listen. I know it's a show different from everybody else's, right? It is its own unique animal, and you guys have embraced that, and you guys have allowed me to continue to live this dream that I had for many years, and that I was this far from giving up on. And you guys allowed me to come here and become a part of the community, a part of the culture. It has been an amazing experience over the past 2.5 years, and I look forward to many more. The folks at the Triumph, the folks with the Drive, the folks with the Swamp Rabbits, the folks with the First Tee of the Upstate and the South Carolina Youth Diabetes Association, and all these different organizations that I've been able to get in and bring what little talent I have to try to help out with. And then, of course, to those of y'all that just live in the Upstate, those of you that have lived here for years, those that, like me, have found yourselves here, have transplanted yourselves here and call this place home, you guys have allowed me to continue to do this silly career that was always a dream of mine. And I will never stop being thankful to y'all for allowing me to be a part of your community. I thank you. I hope you all have a spectacular Thanksgiving. I hope you all genuinely get a chance to reflect on the things that have been special and important to you, and have that gratitude towards the blessings that we have all received. All right, let me get Billy in here before we get out of here. Billy's got a question before we ride off into the sunset for a week. Billy, welcome in, big dog. I got about 30 seconds for you. What you got, buddy?
Won't take long, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. The only question I've got is, why is all the Clemson fans in the area obsessing over USC, LSU, and Bama? The seeding is set. If the winner in the game of Ohio State and Michigan is not a blowout, if it's not 14 points or more, I firmly believe both of those teams are getting in. Why would they not? I'll hang up and listen. I appreciate it, buddy.
Billy, thank you, buddy. Appreciate that on the way out the door. Listen, conference championship has value to it, right? That's LSU. I don't think a one-loss, I don't think a two-loss Alabama team is getting in ahead of Ohio State or Michigan. I don't think a two-loss Bama team is going to get in. A two-loss LSU team with a conference championship would. Will that happen? We'll find out. I hope you all have a very happy, a very safe Thanksgiving. I appreciate everything that you guys have given to me, and I hope that I give it back to you tenfold. Y'all have a great Thanksgiving. I will see you back here next Thursday. Appreciate Tim Tew's efforts this week. The great one will have you on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. I'll be back with you Thursday.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. Glad to do it. Y'all have a very safe, very happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you back here next Thursday on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later. Pleasure's mine, Skrilla, you know that. And thank you to all of you guys that watch, that enjoy. We appreciate it more than we can tell you. And I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. We will see y'all next week. Have a good